go live. Right about 3, 2, 1. All right, seems we are live. Just a couple of seconds to check if it is. I got a YouTube notification from the stream, and I could hear myself in the headphones, so that means we are definitely live. But I heard myself talking 3, 2, 1 and go, so I guess I started early on myself. All right then, welcome everyone who came here to watch us blabber around newest and greatest, latest version of Cypress. My name is Philip. I'm Cypress ambassador, and that's about it. We can talk about the rest later. And next to me is Mike. Who are you, Mike?
Hey, Mike Cataldo. Yeah, ex-cypress. I think they still consider me an ambassador. I hope they do. I'm pretty active in the community.
I hope so, yeah.
And yeah, working at Lattice and doing Cypress stuff. And excited about V10. This has been in the works, and a lot of these little initiatives have added up to a big major version. So excited to talk about this today.
Yeah, and I think there are many people that are excited about this. So, first of all, I mean, what I would like to say here for the version 10, I mean, congrats, Cypress team. Well done. We'll take a look at what you've done, but I mean, it's a huge release, so well done there. Yeah. And I hope we get some more frequent releases from now on. Just poking a little at Cypress team. No, but you've done a great job. So let's take a look at what's been done, right? So I've got the announcing blog post over here where we kind of have the overview. Oops, sorry, where we kind of have the overview of what's going on, and obviously the big thing is the component testing, right? And
it was
of course
alpha
the UI.
before, right?
Yeah, so component testing was actually present in previous versions, right? I think it's version. I think they mentioned that in the blog, don't they? I guess maybe not. Yeah, but the version 9 or even version 10 or something like that, I can't remember. 10, 8. I think it was there in sort of like an alpha version. And now we actually are in the beta version. So I guess beta, it's because as of right now, as far as I could see, we had, what did we have? We had like a version, we got component testing for React, for Vue, but I don't think we have one for Angular. In fact, someone tweeted at me today that there's no Angular right at the moment, but it is in the works. So all you Angular folks can look forward to that. So yeah, we got new UI, component testing, and have you Mike, have you looked at it yet today, or didn't you have enough time to do that?
Actually, I've been looking at I mean, it's Cypress is open source, so I've been looking at this before it was even released. I knew that it was kind of coming down the pipe, and so I saw some of the like configuration related changes in particular stood out to me. And of course there's design changes as well. I didn't really look too much into it in terms of, like actually playing around with it and interacting, but I've seen some of the stuff in the changelog, and yeah, super exciting. I also really so big props to Jess over at Cypress for her efforts on the component side of things, and just Cypress in general is really great at listening to users um, and addressing those needs. Like with Angular, for example, right? Um, so I think it's if you love Cypress like we do, but there's maybe one thing that you really want, voice your opinion. You know, make it heard. And
Make it
Cypress will
hurt
hear
or
you.
heard?
Make it heard. Like, I don't even know what I'm saying.
Just trying to
Make
make.
your voice heard in in the uh, in the Twitters and on the GitHubs, and because Cypress is listening. So
Yeah, it seems
cool.
like they are, although they tend to take some time for things. But as we mentioned, like last episode we did, I mean, sometimes it feels like the releases could come at like more frequent pace, but
Hmm.
when a new feature lands, the Cypress team nails it every time. The example
Yeah.
being the origin that we talked about last time. Like it took a little while till Cypress was able to like go through different origins, but when they did, they were really smart about that. Like obviously, if you want to do a third-party login on another site, you don't want to do that like 100 times for 100 tests. You actually want to cache that
Yeah.
thing, and so yeah, that kind of showed how thought through those updates are. So component testing, I think like in the general testing community, it might feel like a sort of a surprise or sort of a like what's component testing? What's that all about? It feels to me, maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't want to like undermine anyone, uh,
I think
but
I'm biased because I've just been in it, so it's hard for me to know, how much awareness there is
yeah,
on that
I
front.
don't hear a lot of component testing talk in the testing community. Actually, I hear more about that coming from the developer community. But maybe I'm mixing those two up. I don't know. Well, how about you guys in the chat will let us know if you knew about component testing or not. If you're excited about this feature, this particular feature, or not. And if you have a question, as I already see some people asking stuff, if you have a question related to the version 10, we can dive into that or talk about that. All right. Should we go ahead and try to put something together and try it out?
All right, let's give it a try.
Let's
You know
do
how
that.
these things turn out, but yeah, let's try it.
Oh yeah, I almost forgot.
Live
We
coding.
got this nice little stripe at the bottom of our stream. Get a free Cypress T-shirt at cypress.io/surprise. So if you're interested
Oh
in
yeah.
that, go ahead. That's some love from Cypress team for this stream. That's really nice. So enjoy that. Fill out the form and you'll get a free t-shirt, just like the one Mike is wearing, or maybe with an
Oh
updated
yeah.
logo, probably. Yeah.
Probably. Yeah, this is a throwback right here.
Yeah.
Uh, what do you think I could get for it on eBay?
I don't know,
No.
we'll see.
A few $100 maybe? It's pretty
And
valuable.
yeah.
And I've got like 10 because I used to work at Cypress, so
Oh, that's how they paid you.
that's how they paid me. They paid me in swag. Don't you get paid in swag?
No, I don't. uh, get paid in NFTs. Oh, just kidding. All right. All right. Let's dive in. So I got VS Code right here. We're both in it. So we can take a look. So how about we just start with the latest thing, right? So this is a project, by the way, you can find on my GitHub. Um, it's a sort of a to-do Trello application, and yeah, where's the dependencies? There's a lot of those. But Cypress, I wanted to show Cypress that it is in version 9.6, so I forgot to update to 9.7. No big deal. Let's open up the terminal. Actually, let me close those so we accidentally don't expose something. And let's do npm install Cypress latest. Ooh, exciting. All right. So you get a bunch of warnings of like beer dependencies. That those are always fun, right? Um, just recently, I had a workshop where we had where there was some kind of problem there. So yeah, we got some vulnerabilities. Don't worry, it's not a production app, so no need to worry about this. And did we get the installation? Look at that. All right, Cypress version 10. So let's do the npx cypress open. Still the same here. It looks like this is the first time you're using Cypress. Well, actually, yes, but also no, because I've been playing with the pre-release version as well.
So now there's some kind of migration tool.
Yeah.
Right? Should we talk about that?
Yeah, let's do that. I think it actually will open for us. I don't see. Did I lose Cypress window? Oh yeah, yeah. I was thinking like, why does it take so long? But I guess I'm sort of straining my computer right now. Oh, welcome to Cypress 10, and we got a video.
Wow, look at this.
All right, so. Oh. All right. Not sure how loud that was,
Fancy.
but in my headphones, it sort of blasted. So I hope we didn't kill anyone on the stream. Uh, so yeah, we got this version. Jessica is here. Hi, Jessica to Amsterdam. If you're watching, she's currently at View conference in Amsterdam. So yeah. All right. So we got the release notes. Let's continue to Cypress 10. And yeah, first off, what we got here is the migration helper. So
cool.
There are a couple of changes as to like the naming conventions in Cypress, and I thought probably I've seen this in like some sort of previous pre-release version, where they would sort of name all of the Cypress tests .cy, .ts or JS or whatever, and all of the component tests would be .spec. But I don't see that here anymore, so maybe I was just... or maybe if I have them already named as a spec, I don't know. But yeah, so the first change...
Yeah, this is interesting because I've already done this on my project.
I mean, let's be honest.
It's just changing it to E because integration never really made sense.
It never made sense, yeah.
Right. So, you know, and now we were aware of that. You know, when I was at Cypress, like it was well known. So I'm glad that they did that.
So it's really good that they sort of streamlined the process for you, because we got, I mean, the folder change it's pretty easy. That's not a big deal. It would probably be a bigger deal if we also had the test name convention changed. And I'm really confused because I really thought that was there also. But yeah, and we can do that. And I don't think we actually like have to. Can we skip that step? Oh, it doesn't seem that way.
I don't see any way to skip, so it looks like you're stuck with it either way.
We're stuck with this. But it's funny because we're going to talk about the new configuration file where you can define how you want, like a sort of a globbing thing for which files you want to use and which ones you don't. And you could easily like fall back and just use the integration name. But all right, let's rename these specs. Nice. And here's another change, and this is a big one, right? Oh no, it's not a big one. It's fairly minor. So we got our support index.js file, and this is going to be changed to E2E.
Interesting.
And I think this is, I'm pretty sure this is because now Cypress basically, they took the component testing and sort of put it side by side, the end-to-end tests. So I guess you need to make distinctions so that your repository will not become a giant mess of different kinds of tests and you don't know which ones are which. Um,
Hmm.
and especially like for the configuration, I guess this is about the configuration and how to sort of set up different types of configurations for different types of testing. So you can have a support index. So just to give a context, probably many people watching this already use Cypress, but the index.js in the support folder is basically a file that loads before your tests load. So here you
For
would
each
have
spec
your,
file
yeah,
that's loaded, yeah.
yeah, so you would have your custom commands and plugin imports and stuff like that loaded. And
Global hooks, if you do like a global before each or
yeah.
before, that's where I put mine in there. Importing commands, yep.
Oh, we got Joel telling us in the chat that if you are running fresh Cypress project, it will actually give you the convention of cy.js. So that's where I
Oh,
got
okay,
got it from.
cool.
We can take a
Good
look at
insight.
into like a new project as well. But I think like many people watching
Hmm.
might be interested into how do I implement an existing project, and then we can jump into a new one.
Yeah, yeah. I wonder what would happen is if you have this E to ETS, but you also added an index TS. Would that be for shared
Mm,
configuration? Do you know what I mean? That you can share between component and E to E.
I
You
think
know,
I think I saw this in one of the projects that were somewhere. I saw some project that already had the version 10, and they would have a third file which would be a common, and that one would get imported into
mm-hmm.
E2E into and also into component. So you would have
Yeah.
like a common thing. Um,
Hmm.
all right, so
Cool.
let's rename that. And now for the big one. So Cypress JSON is no more. We got Cypress config.js or TS if you're in TypeScript. And this is where we got the spec pattern as opposed to
Yep.
test files. So test files was to define which files you would want to run, and now you would have this spec pattern. So can we see that anywhere? Yeah. So the spec pattern is Cypress E2E and basically globbing all the spec DS files. So in theory,
Mm-hmm.
you could have this named integration and not E2E if you
Is
are a
this an example
weirdo,
that
of
we're looking
course.
at, or is this the actual?
Sorry. This is the actual. Yeah, this is actually my project being migrated. Like it just looked into all of the things that I currently have in my Cypress JSON and generated Cypress config for me, which is pretty awesome.
Oh, but but you don't specify spec pattern for E to E, do you?
I don't. No, I do. I have test files here.
But isn't that the? Why would you specify that? Isn't that the default value?
I wanted to it. It could be. It could as well be. Well, let's just take a look, right?
Hmm.
Cypress JSON. I do have this specified in the component. So Cypress JSON. So I was playing with the component testing a little bit.
But then
And
you also have that test
and then
files
I
there
have
too,
also the
right?
test files, and that would be for E2E. So you can see, like in Cypress JSON, it was sort of a messy thing. Like you would have the general Cypress JSON, and for example, this key you would have twice, one for like general end-to-end testing, and the other one would be just for component testings. So yeah, this is no more, and it has become this spec pattern. And
Cool.
in the new configuration, you can sort of see that this is the E2E and the components, and some of the things are basically defined differently.
Mm-hmm. So is that setup node events? That's a Cypress thing, right? So I'm just curious, what is in your plugins file?
Oh, there are a lot of
Or are
things.
we jumping ahead? I don't know if we want to go and dig into that
I mean, this
But I'm
is
curious.
this is sort of like it's not communicated anywhere in this migration assistant, but basically it will become more obvious when we create a new project. But plugins index.ts is sort of like no more. So if you create no new
Mm-hmm.
project, normally what you would have your integration, fixtures, plugins, and support. That would be like the scaffold of the new project. The plugins is
Mm-hmm.
no longer present in the new project. Basically, you can create as much plugins as you want, and you just import them here in this setup node events function. So the whole plugins index file would sort of be inside this function. Uh, so what the migration assistant will do for now is import your old plugins. So you even have a comment here, right? We imported old Cypress plugins here. You may want to clean this up later after, by importing these. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So it's requiring that for now. So I guess you could. I don't know. Yeah, I might just import if it was me doing this, I would probably I probably wouldn't put everything like all of that code from the plugins file into this. Probably
mm-hmm.
still keep them separate.
Mm-hmm.
Um I wonder why it's doing a require just so it can be instead of an import, maybe just so it can be more compatible.
I guess that's a good point. Yeah, not sure.
Hmm.
Maybe it's the compatibility thing. All right. So, I mean, this is
Cool.
really nice. So it actually reads your current Cypress JSON and it will generate the Cypress config for you, which makes your life much easier. Plus, it gives you sort of pointers into like, okay, watch out for this. You probably want to do it slightly differently here. All right. So migrate the configuration for me, and bam, we are here. So welcome to Cypress. We got our end-to-end testing and component testing.
Cool.
So should we take the end-to-end testing for a spin? Let's see
Yeah.
what's new with the thing. Oh, all right. So we got our
Cannot
usual
connect base
warning.
URL.
So that's like I have in my Cypress JSON. Oh, in my Cypress config.js, I
Mm-hmm.
have the base URL specified, right? Where is that? Oh, you actually set up base URL inside the E2E object. So I have my base URL specified as localhost 3000. And what Cypress does is, as it opens browser and did that for older version as well, it will actually ping that location to make sure there's something live there. And if it's not,
Yep.
it's going to show you this warning. So let me spin up the application. I'm going to open another terminal, npm start. And then the application is ready. So I'm going to retry and message is gone. So we actually have something running on localhost. All right, so choosing browsers. We didn't get any more browsers at the moment, so no WebKit so far. But we'll see when that one will land. So I only have Chrome and Firefox. If I had like Canary and Microsoft Edge and I don't know what, it would appear here. So let's
Mm-hmm.
start testing in Chrome. All right. So what do you think so far of the UI?
I think it's slick. I like it. Very clean. Super, super clean.
To me, like the first thing that sort of came to my mind when I opened the new version was like, this now feels like a product. It's not like a developer tool, but it is a
Yeah.
product. Sort of like it has all this polished things, and the previous version were kind of rough. But I mean, developers don't mind, right? It's
It
a tool.
worked,
It
right?
worked, yeah. It delivered. And
Yeah.
now it feels like, oh yeah, yeah. I see some designers spend time on this. Like it's clean. It's
Yeah.
a product. And we
I
got
think
shortcuts here.
the dashboard definitely has always had a lot more polish, and
Yeah.
when you compare the dashboard with the runner, there's definitely some inconsistencies in terms of the UI elements as well as the level of polish. And so this is definitely more consistent with the dashboard, which is cool to see.
Yeah. So an interesting thing here. So before we had the graphic user interface of Cypress where you would see all your specs. Now what you get is just like choose the type of testing you want to do plus the migration assistant, and then you open browser, and inside the browser you actually get to explore your tests, which I like.
Oh, this is in the browser. Oh, I didn't even
Yes,
catch that.
yeah, we are in
Oh,
the browser
interesting.
already. This is really
Right.
nice because like the time between you click your test and then the browser opens and spins up the test, there was a little delay, and I assume that this is going to be faster. So let's just open a test. So we got board spec. Oh, okay. I have the window is sort of small here. All right, this is going to be a challenge to fit everything in here inside the screen.
That's interesting. So can you not minimize or shrink that?
I can. I'm just trying to like arrange that.
No, no, I mean sorry, I just meant on the left side, the
Oh, you can.
that left side menu.
There's actually even a shortcut for that. You can go F, and it
Cool.
will just close that. So that's
There we
pretty
go.
much, yeah.
Okay.
That's pretty much
That's
the
a little
same.
bit more friendly. Now,
But I like this. I mean, you
let's
can sort
see.
of get back to find all your specs and just click on that, and
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
you go. You don't need to like go
Cool.
back and forth between two windows. You're in the same window. I have this weird error here, glob pattern string required. I think that's the I'm pretty sure that's the one of my
The
plugins,
coverage
the
report?
code coverage. Yeah, yeah. So let's
Yeah.
turn that off
You could probably turn that yeah.
just to false, I guess, and that will do the trick, I believe.
Now there's a dark theme applied here. I'm just noticing.
Oh yeah,
Is that by default or is that
I think this is by default. I don't think you can change
interesting?
it. So yeah.
Okay.
So people who don't like dark themes are out of luck. I do have. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure that you cannot change this side panel. I am using dark theme in my everything, so that's why there
Yeah.
maybe is a slight chance that this will actually react to what you have.
It's just applying that global setting. So um I'm curious. Let's take a can we take a detour into like the settings and see what
Yeah.
stuff is there? So we have runs, which is awesome. Now these are local runs?
No, this is the dashboard being connected to. Yeah, this is connected to
Okay.
dashboard. So this is my testing. So we could actually like click
Cool.
on this, and it'll take me to the dashboard. And you see, I don't I don't use it on my hobby project too much. It was more than 100 days ago, but this is like the
Nice.
Trello app, and the latest runs are pretty old. All
That's
right.
great.
But yeah, we got
That's great
the
to have that there
runs
available.
here. I think it was present in the previous version as well, but it was sort of like a very minimal thing. I mean, this is also pretty minimal, but yeah, you get to look, and then we got
Cool.
settings.
If it was in the other version, I just didn't notice and never used it.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to use
Let's
this one
see.
for anything. But yeah, let's look at the
Yeah, it's
settings.
just a quick reference.
So you got the project settings, and this, I believe, just reads your config and gives you some more context to that, right? So you got the spec pattern,
Hmm.
we got the experiments, and you can see like which experiments are enabled and disabled. So this is nice. It sort of shows you like which ones you have. The experimental
Yeah.
polyfill, cross origin, and session. We mentioned that. So, by the way, if you don't know, this landed pretty recently, and this was one of like a really uh, big thing for many people, like being able to visit a third-party origin, and that has landed. I think that landed like a month ago. We talked month ago about this, and it was fairly new, so I believe it could be like 6 weeks or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just so you all know that it's out there. And source rewriting, all right. Don't know what that is. Maybe we can explore that in the future. And configuration. So you can see the resolved configuration. And this is a
Yeah.
nice touch. We get the edit button. So when I click,
Ooh, you can edit
it'll
right in
it'll
line. Oh, it,
it,
it takes you to
it
there.
takes me to
Okay,
the
cool.
to
Oh,
the
gotcha.
setting. Yeah.
So maybe we should talk about this here on the right for those who might not know. So configuration can is doesn't always come from the actual file itself. So traditionally, and I have to kind of change my thinking a little bit, but if we're talking about um, prior to pre version 10, resolved configuration wasn't just that Cypress JSON file. You could also resolve configuration through a plugin or through the CLI or through an environment variable on your machine. So
Yeah.
in my case, I actually use for passwords, I have I set it either through like an environment variable or I have a cypress.env.json file. Actually, I wonder what would happen to that.
If you would
I
like
wonder
have
if
a
I can
like
still
a
use
live
that.
function in here or doing the dynamic resolving, because dynamic basically is the same thing as plugins. So you can tap into the config event. So as
Mm-hmm.
Cypress is opening and resolving that configuration, it can call a function, wait for that function to resolve things, and basically generate data or
Yeah.
something like that. I'm pretty sure you could do
Yeah.
that
When it
over
comes,
here.
yeah, like when it comes to, so pre-10, the way that I get an access token is I go, or authentication token is I go through a plugin, and plugins launch when you first launch Cypress, and it'll actually make an API request, get a token, and I save that um, to to the config, um, and that would be one of those sort of dynamic um, config values in this
Mm-hmm.
list. But what if I have something like, how would I support? I wonder how I would support the cypress.env.json file with this new thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, could
Mm-hmm.
I still have that file with all of my environment variables or not? Or
Yeah.
maybe it's a cypress.env.ts file. Maybe that's what it is.
Could be. Honestly, I don't know how, if that's supported. If that's still supported. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah. I mean,
We're
obviously,
looking into this first, right? This is our first look
yeah,
at it. So
yeah,
these are all just kind of rhetorical questions.
yeah.
Um, but
All right. So we got the configuration project settings. Then we got device settings, which is all right. So that's like our device. So we can set up which editor we are using. There's
mm-hmm.
proxy, auto scrolling. This is interesting that they put that here, because previously you would have that auto
Oh
scrolling
yeah, it was right
in the
in the
runner.
runner.
Yeah.
I didn't really use that often, so that makes sense. That I mean, if folks are like me,
Yeah.
they don't really use it
I think I
So
used it. Like sometimes I just wanted to not scroll and just observe what's happening in the application. But yeah, so here's the dashboard settings. We got the keys. Not going to reveal that. And plus we got the configuration guide. So I mean, it's the release was really really huge today because not only they did update the whole Cypress runner, but the documentation had to go as well. So this is this is completely new. This
yeah.
is there's a lot of things here. E2E type specific configuration, lots of content here. I was actually trying to take a look into this yesterday as it was like waiting for release. And here we got the framework configuration for like the component testing. So you got Vite, Webpack, and different kinds of frameworks, and you have automatic configuration. We'll take a look into that. I just wanted to point out that there's a lot that happened in the documentation as well, and we finally got a new logo in the docs. So I was like waiting for that every day.
So
Like when do they update this one?
so did they add a lot of other than the configuration and the component stuff? Did they do anything on the E2E side? Did you notice anything there?
Not really. I was trying to play with the component testing mainly, but we can take a quick peek into the changelog, and probably we will have something around E2E. So yeah, so there's a lot of talk about like, of course, the whole cypress.config.jsts is a big change. So that concerns
Yep.
end-to-end tests as well. Plus, I think there's a naming convention change with the screenshot folder and videos folder. Obviously, when you do recording for the component testing and end-to-end testing, you sort of need to figure out what the naming of those files will be. And yeah, features, component testing, blah blah blah. There's a lot of here. Not sure. Yeah, plus the setup node events, so that also touches the end-to-end tests, configuration, and there's some smaller changes here. Cypress API commands, enhancements provided to visual indication of nested commands and logs. All right, so that's. I wouldn't say there's too much of that. Oh, and there's a flag dash E2E and dash component. So, like when we want to test, we can sort of choose which one we want to do. If we want to do end-to-end testing or component testing. And if you pass a flag, that should mean that you just open that one, right? Let's try it out. I want to try this one out. Like we did npx cypress open, and let's do
So
just E2E.
yeah, let's see
If
what
that
oh,
opens just
yeah, what does that
E2E,
look
or
like?
what will happen?
Yeah.
Okay, it's spinned up. Yeah, E2E testing. So we are here. Can we go back? Yeah, you can. So it's basically a shortcut to just get you into
essentially
this
skips
window. Nice.
So what if you passed in Chrome? Will it skip this step?
Oh, good question. Let's do that. So that would be
I think it's is it browser?
browser Chrome. Yeah, I think.
I mean that really only applies to run. No, wait, does it?
Not sure.
Yeah.
Well,
So
about to find out.
we'll see.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, see,
Nice.
This is our tester stuff coming out, right? This is our QE, like, asking questions that folks don't always ask.
Yeah, I guess we're about to open an issue on GitHub in today's stream, right?
Well, what? Wait, is that a bug?
No, this is a good one. But I mean, with the tester mindset of trying different things, we might find something.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, eventually we will. Yeah, we will.
All right, so talk about streaming goals. All right, but this will like open this
Nice.
window in the background, but it'll just automatically spin up.
But then it just jumps to that.
Yeah, but
Cool.
I mean, I love this because what you can do now, since you have like this thing going on, and you always run in Chrome, is just to create a script in your
Just
package
thinking
JSON
too.
and just go E2E and put that script over here.
Well,
And
actually,
then
no.
it,
My thought was actually what I was thinking was instead of doing a script, what if you just go into the Cypress command? Not the Cypress config file and add those there. Add E to E as true and browser as Chrome. Can you do that? I think you can do that.
like in the so I currently still have the plugins index. So over here,
No, 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 no. In the actual, so go to the config file, config ts, yeah,
all
and
right.
then set in there, set E to E to. Oh wait,
Probably, I don't think that one would pass. Like that one would work that way because you already got like E2E where the configuration is, and like the configuration was never like one to one with the different CLI
oh
arguments.
really?
I think so,
Yeah, I see what you mean.
but we can do
Yeah, maybe.
npm run
Yeah,
E2E, and that will just open. I like this. I like this one.
yeah. Well, so one thing that's actually going to change. So what I used to do is I not used to. It's what I currently do because I'm not on 10 yet. My day job, but like I actually have a schema. I have a schema reference at the
Mm-hmm.
top of the file, so that way in my IDE I know what options I have.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there might be another way to obtain that auto completion. So I wonder how it's going to work in this. Like if maybe it will be the same. I don't know that it would support a schema file, but like,
I mean, I already get an
do we
error
know
here.
in here?
So since I'm in TypeScript, I think this is all completely typed here, and I don't have dev server declared here, and that's because I didn't yet like migrate my component test, just the end-to-end tests, or did nothing basically to configure component test. This is all legacy, which is interesting, so that the migration
So
assistant
when
like
we
didn't
did the
really.
migration, it did not migrate the component stuff. That's like a
No,
separate migration path. Is that
that's
what you're
like
saying?
I'm not really sure it's even migration. I'm pretty sure it's like you have to configure it from scratch. Because I think they made
Uh,
they basically cut off some of the paths you would have before. Um, so yeah, I
yeah, that might be considered a bug because they should either not add that in there or they should add all of the required stuff so that it's not
hmm I
right.
mean
Like it shouldn't be showing this error right off the bat.
I think they sort of did a decent job here with like covering the obvious stuff. But I mean, since the component testing was in alpha, I think they what happened is that Cypress decided to sort of like not do certain things that way and just go the other way and just didn't really care for the old ways of doing
Yeah.
things, which is I guess why you
Yeah.
would have an alpha version. So yeah. All right, we got some love from India in the chat. Hey to India. You guys are still awake? It must be like super late at your place or super early. I'm sorry, I don't know what the time is right there, but I imagine the time might be a little brutal. Okay, should we explore some more stuff in here? So we did like the test. We saw the UI. Uh, Pretty much the same, although we have this dark theme over here. Someone in the chat mentioned that they don't really like that. I mean,
You
this
know, I
might.
usually am a fan of dark themes, but not when it's inconsistent. And like if you go to settings, that wasn't a dark theme. And
Mm-hmm.
the the UI at the top. there, top right, where it says local hosts and stuff, like that's
Mm-hmm.
not dark.
Yeah.
But that's just my weird tendencies and preferences.
I
So,
honestly, I don't think it's that weird. I think you that's a really good feedback. Like trying to be consistent with the with the with the whole UI. And I actually think that Cypress should probably provide the option to have a light theme as well. Looking at this, because what your eyes will do when you are using this view is sort of go to left and to right, and I can imagine that this can be really strainful for your eyes if you just go light
oh yeah,
dark light dark light dark. um,
yeah,
I
that's a
think
good point.
you can get a little bit exhausted by that, and yeah, probably did. We have our issue. Well, it's not a GitHub issue, but we can open a discussion for that. I think this might be an
Yeah.
interesting one on the GitHub.
How
Uh,
much of us though have our own, day job app that doesn't have a dark theme, but our IDE has a dark theme, and we're kind of thrashing on,
yeah,
on the code, and looking at the app, and then going back to our dark IDE. So
I
maybe
mean,
this is
yeah,
trying
yeah.
to be consistent with a pain that's already there.
Here, like provide you
But
with consistent
yeah.
painful experience throughout your workday. All right.
What's this little button at the bottom left? There's like a little
Yeah,
Mac
that's
command
keyboard
thing.
shortcuts. Like there are
Okay.
three of them:
Okay,
rerun,
cool.
stop, and toggle specs.
So far, I
So
wouldn't be
far,
surprised if they added more.
yeah. If they added this one,
Cool.
I would imagine like they have plans to add some more here. I really like
And
this
what's
like
that button
clicking the at the top,
at the top left there? What's that button? Top
the
left.
plus sign.
That green, no, that green one
Oh,
over on the
that's like
far left. Yeah.
we go back to the end-to-end testing, and oh, can you like switch from here? We are running end-to-end test. I think you
Hmm.
can like it opens this model window, and you can go to component testing, and I guess you
Hmm.
can like sort of switch between those. I I think we will find out once we have the component testing set up. So
Yeah.
should we do that? Or do we still want to
Yeah.
stay on the end to end? Yeah, all
I,
right.
I I'm actually wondering if we should like have another thing on just component testing and kind of go through that.
I mean, it's a
Because
rich topic, definitely.
it is, and for those who might not know us, like we can really get into the weeds. Like what was our last podcast
I think it
episode?
was
Was it like
like
2 hours? Close to 2 hours?
almost 2 hours. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, just
I
as
mean,
long as like our
we
just our
could
regular chats.
we could, but I felt like we got the general overview of what's new here. But
Yeah,
I mean, I've seen it, so maybe do we have some feedback
I
here?
did notice on the I did notice on the it was on the changelog. It said something about dev server. What was that? What was that all about?
That was
Is that
the
something new?
that's for the
That's for
component testing.
component.
Yeah, that's
Okay. All
that's
right.
the one.
And then there was also some proxy stuff that I saw on the settings page. Is that a carryover as well?
That's not new. Yeah, that was already there. Like for anyone who uses proxy on their operating system, they can sort of like set it up over here.
Okay.
I never used that. I never
Cool.
had the need to, but I guess like if you are on a corporate network, etc., then that's something you
Yeah.
have to deal with. All right. So Cypress app has been redesigned so that the command log and all associated navigation display with a dark background. So there we have
Hmm.
it. All right.
Many Git details are now shown. Are they talking about the results? I mean
Uh,
the run results. Is that what they're talking about there on that third bullet?
on that third bullet, 1, 2, 3, many Git details are now shown in the current project Cypress, including current branch and last commit details. Haven't really noticed. Like if you go to specs, oh, there's like
Oh,
last
last updated
updated.
an
All
hour
right,
ago.
all right. What can you do with that? You can. Oh, I almost thought it like copied something, but it didn't. It just
Yeah,
like an hour ago. Is there anything else? No. So
interesting. Somebody asked on the chat, is there a way to run all specs?
nope, that was deprecated. I actually read that somewhere.
Yeah.
Dependencies, miscellaneous. Yeah, and Gleb is actually going to be happy about that. I,
I'm
heard,
happy about that.
I heard him once talk about how you should not ever click that button. Where
Yeah.
so like
Yep.
in the old version, to anyone who by chance doesn't know, in the old version you would have in basically in the view where you would see all of your tests, there would be a button run all tests. But the thing with
Mm-hmm.
that was it sort of took all of the spec files, it created one big giant spec file that had all of those tests and all of those the contents of all of those files inside, and run that as one file, which would create problems, especially if you have like if you have before each hooks and after each hooks and after hooks, etc. Because that that would
Yep.
happen to me at this project. So I can show you, because I had like I have my board spec, I have a lot of things going on. I sort of experimented with creating a longer test and how that performs. So far, don't really have results for that. But oh, I actually don't. Sorry, I didn't remember that properly. But basically, I would have uh, what I needed to do is to wrap all of my tests in a describe block, so they wouldn't like interfere with each other, because I had a lot of tests where I would
Mm.
just start with the it function and I didn't really care that it doesn't have a describe. To me it felt like extra typing, because you don't really need that. But in case you were running all of your tests, then that would become a problem, because those it blocks would sort of get paired together with a certain logic, like having a global before each, or before each taken from another test. And I was debugging that, and it was pain to find out what is really happening. But yeah, that button is gone, and it's good that it's gone. If you want to run all your tests,
Wow.
do that in the headless mode. That's good enough. Or run one by
Yeah.
one.
Yep. Yep. That's interesting. So you would have a spec file that didn't have a describe. It was just the it
Yeah,
blocks.
yeah.
That's I've never done that. And I don't know if it's just like a habit thing or what, but I always start with a describe. Yeah, so that's funny.
I did.
That's
You know
interesting.
what? I did that too, and then actually I saw Gleb skipping that and just going with the it, and I was like, oh, you can do that. I guess I'll do it like this. I never thought about it
Nice.
anymore. But then, like in this one particular case, I realized like, okay, this actually can be a problem, and
Hmm.
it felt to me like, yeah, like why should you write a describe at the top when you already have the name of the file and you can just go to the tests? It didn't. Yeah, I mean it didn't feel right to me. But yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
Claire is so relieved that he can run
Now,
all the tests in headless mode. And yeah, of
well,
course.
okay. I was actually just thinking like if you wanted to, you could do Cypress run and then what is it, dash dash headed?
Yeah, yes,
And then
exactly.
it does still show the browser. So you could still do that if you wanted.
Yes,
If
yes,
you
you
wanted
could.
that same experience that you had before.
But it's
I don't
not the
often do
same.
that, but
It's not the same actually. I play with that in the past, and there is a real difference between those two, because even if you so there's also like you have this dash dash headit where it would open the browser and you can see those tests actually
It
running.
would close it each
It would
time,
close it
right?
each time. There is an option not to close that. So when you add that, the
But then you
browser
have all these
remains
windows, though, right?
open. I don't know. Could be. I'm not sure how that behaves because I was just debugging one test,
Yeah, I think it.
and
Yeah.
and the result is actually that the run mode doesn't have the. It's not doing the snapshots. So even if you have the timeline out, on the site, it doesn't do the snapshots for
Oh
you.
yeah.
So you cannot just like time travel. And there's and something else was missing. Is the run version of Cypress test is sort of stripped down of all the things you don't really need when you're not in the open mode, which is interesting. And
Yeah.
I think that sort of adds um, to the speed, but also to the fact that sometimes you run your tests locally, they pass all well, and then you go to CI, run them, it runs faster,
They fail.
and they fail, and that's because
Yep.
certain flakiness in the test design or in the app or on the server or anything, and yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's sometimes a little hell.
Yeah. I know that. I know how that goes.
We've been all through
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of things that I'm doing to mitigate. That'll have to be another show, but I'm doing some things to mitigate those
That
kinds
would be
of things.
that might be a good one. Actually, it's a pity we don't do this more often because actually on 26th, I think, if I remember the date correctly, I'm going to talk on Applitools and Netlify event front end test fest, and I'm going to have a talk about like common mistakes when writing end-to-end tests. And it's especially like
Oh, cool.
focused on different kinds of flakiness that you might get when you are writing your tests. So
That's awesome.
so that's it would be good to talk together about this because we could like brainstorm ideas together for my talk.
Yep. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Why not?
Um,
Cool.
all right. I mean, let's get back to the code. I would actually like to take a quick peek into component testing. I don't think we have the time to dive into it like very deeply. But I think it would be nice to sort of explore at least like what that is, if that's okay with you.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Um, all right. So we had that. Where was that button? I think you only see that when you have a test opened. But yeah, here we got it. Component testing, and there's the project setup. So so it doesn't have a migration assistant, but it does has this sort of wizard kind of thing going on, where it detects the what you are using. Although I have been playing with that, and it said that I'm using Vue CLI that's detected, but I'm actually using Vue.js 3,
I
and
wonder how
I'm
that's
using
detected. Like,
probably reading that from the package.json or something. I mean, I might be using Vue CLI somewhere somehow, but it might be just my inexperience in. Honestly, I don't really know what's the difference. So the detection might be working well, but I know like I'm using this. When I just picked Vue CLI, it would choose Webpack as my bundler, and it's sort of doing that here, which is weird because I'm using Vite in my project. So there might be something confusing either in the package.json or in my node modules that makes this a little confusing for Cypress Wizard, or it might be a bug. I don't know. But yeah, this is
yeah.
what I'm doing. So let's do the next step. And in the next step, it's going to tell you like install dev dependencies. So make sure All of these are installed, and I already have all of those, so I've successfully installed.
Why
If I
wouldn't you have those installed?
uh, not
Why
sure.
why do you think they're important for migration? Because
It's not migration.
I
It's
don't know.
the component test setup.
Oh,
Uh,
because we're setting it up. Okay,
yeah,
I'm
we're
sorry.
setting it up.
We're
Yeah,
configuring it, not migrating what we already
yeah,
have.
yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
my bad.
All right, so we continue, and now we have these different things. Now, if you are starting a new project, I'm pretty sure that this thing, the component, framework, bundler, blah, 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 that it is created for you. But right now, Cypress is sort of suggesting, please merge the code below in your existing Cypress config. So basically, this is the dev
Hmm.
server you were asking about, and
Yeah.
you would set this up very differently before. It would be in the plugins JS file, and you would have this weird function that would do all kinds of stuff. But now it's sort of
Hmm.
like yeah, just use the framework and the bundler, and we're good to go. So let me copy
Cool.
this part and paste it into my Cypress config. So I think that's all good. So let's do dev server. Not sure why I put it here. All right, dev server, good.
That
So
works.
this is going to reload. Ooh, what happened? We stopped because our config file crashed. Did I like forget a comma or something? Or this is an extra? Not sure what happened. Already. Oh, I got it. I know. So what this will do, and this is, I mean, this can happen to a newbie like me. That so there's a port that's already in use, and what component testing
Just
will
trying to
do
launch the dev server. Yeah.
is going to launch the dev server, and is going to try to do that by taking a look at my vite config.js, which is configured to run on this is
Yep.
actually not it, but it's configured to run on the localhost 3000. And since my application is running there already, oh, actually it was this terminal, oops, sorry. So yeah, that conflicted and created that error that we just saw. So let's continue
Yeah.
with the configuration.
I wonder if that's going to be a common path for folks.
Mm,
Where during the configuration they're going to have that app up. You know,
um, could
they're going
happen.
to
I
have
mean,
their app up. It's going to be running.
it happened to me a couple of times when I was playing with that. That I had my application running and I didn't realize. But now it at least throws an error. Like in the 9 point something versions, it would just like freeze and not do anything. Um, so that was like, what's happening? But now it's actually giving you an error. So that's good. All right, so we got no specs found because I haven't written um, a test yet. So let's create one. Component name spec. Let's actually go to the source here, and I've got my components here, and let's start with something that's pretty easy, and that would be the save button. So I have like very simple save button over here. It has just these props. Actually, you know what? Let's start with something even simpler. That's the footer element. So in my application, I have this footer down there, basically linking to my site and saying powered by Coffee and Loaf by Filip Hric. And as you can see, it's just a template. There's nothing in it, no script, no style. Actually, I could delete this. It would still work. So let's create a new spec that's going to be called footer.spec.ts. And I'm going to create an it block over here and go
So
test footer.
creating the spec next to the component that you're testing, is that something that like I know that's a common practice, but is that something that's supported by Cypress? Like does Cypress like by
It,
default expect that kind of, you know what I mean?
yeah, I
Expect
mean,
that kind of setup.
by default, it seems that they do. Because if you take a look into the Cypress config, the spec pattern is going to be source and anything
Yep.
that ends in spec.ts. So that's like a
Cool.
default setup. I believe. I'm not sure if that was migrated by any chance, but I believe this is like
Yeah.
the default setup. And I believe
Cool.
that's the convention. So we got our footer over here. It's already here. And
Nice.
by the way, I want to switch to end to end real fast. What happens? It's going to like reload. Oh, it's going to close and open the browser. That's what I was curious about. Like if you switch
Mm.
between those two types of testing, whether it is going to just stay in the browser and keep it open, or is it going to actually close it and open it again? So yeah, it's actually going to close it. I thought that might be really cool if it just stayed open and reloaded instantly. That's a bummer. So Brian is asking whether is Cypress component testing basically the same as React testing library? And I don't know the answer to that question. Do you know?
So React testing library, yeah, so React testing library is part of the testing library umbrella of tools. So there actually is a Cypress testing library that follows a similar API pattern. So yeah, so that's testinglibrary.com.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll see in that list on the left there, there's Cypress testing library and also React testing library. So a lot of a lot of times when you're testing, when you're doing component tests without Cypress, component tests with React, you'll use Jest with React testing library. If
Mm-hmm.
you wanted to migrate from just component testing with Jest and React testing library, what you would do is um, essentially write your tests in Cypress using Cypress testing library.
Mm-hmm.
Um, although I wonder if you could use React testing. I wonder if React testing no, it wouldn't apply because with React testing library, it's not inside of the
So, I mean, can I
yeah.
ask what's the difference between React testing library and Jest?
So Jest is actually the runner, whereas React testing library is just the functions for interacting with the DOM and for rendering components and things. So
Okay.
like if you go to if you go to like API, you can see the in React testing library, you can see all the different things that you can do. So like rendering components, which is actually already built into Cypress component
Mm-hmm.
testing, and looks like cleanup, rendering hook, and stuff like that. Um, so
And
yeah,
how does
that's
it render things? Because I thought like the big selling point of Cypress component testing was that actually compared to Jest, you open a real browser and you get to like explore your components inside the environment they actually be in. Whereas in tools like Jest, you just run them through terminal, and the debugging is of course really painful because you just get like the output from the terminal.
yeah, it just doesn't give you the UI that you get
And does the testing library
with
give
Cypress
you
for sure.
that?
I don't think so.
All right.
I'm not. Yeah, I think it's just something that goes on top of the typical pattern is testing with React testing library and Jest, um, or you can use Cypress instead.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's about as far as my understanding of it goes.
Yeah. We'll learn
But
about
yeah,
that. All right. So I have my first test. So uh, and it's an empty test. So there's not much in that. So let's You know what? Let's maybe go with the documentation, because I think I have a general idea of how can I do stuff in the Cypress with the component testing. But let's try go along with the documentation. So we got writing our first component test. There's a lot of here. Component test in a nutshell, choosing a type, blah blah blah. Framework configuration. So let's do view with Vite. And we got this one. So we got the Cypress config over here. View with
that.
Webpack. That's not us. View with Vite. Where is that? View with Vite. Oh, that's it. Okay, so we don't have to do anything else.
Yeah, we don't have to do that. I think we're done with that. So now it's just a matter
right.
of, I would probably maybe try quick start or mounting components.
Yeah, mounting components. That's what we want. All right, so we got this, and we got this mount function, Cypress view. So let's copy that.
That's kind of the equivalent to render in React testing library.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And we also import the component itself. So this is how our test would would look like. So all right, so let's copy this, just import it into our test.
Is it already installed?
Yeah, Cypress view, I believe so.
Cypress view.
We'll see. And then we go import, and I want to import the component. Well, how do I do that? Yeah, so import footer dot view. So can we mount it? Mount, and it's actually import footer, right? From like this. It should be like this. Footer. Will that work? We'll see. We're about to find out.
As long as that's exported as a... Yeah, there you go.
I got it. But it has no styling. And I believe this is something that's mentioned. Styling components. Blah, blah, blah. It's currently in beta. Global styles. I have Tailwind in here. And I believe like this would be the same as what I do when I have this global component. Not global component, but like the entry. Yeah, like this. So there's a setup.js function, which is going to do what? Oh, we're actually in React. Basically, I know the answer to that. So let me just... So here I have all of my components here in the source folder. And there's this main TS, which is basically an entry point for the whole app. And there are like this global imports, etc. And the index CSS is where all of the Tailwind things are, base, component, utilities, and everything. So basically I have to make that available to my test as well. And I think it's like double thing. Oh, I actually can do this because I have like my paths defined in the TS config. So this one, cool. Not sure how much you use TypeScript, but I absolutely love this one. Basically, you have this.
That's actually something that I need to learn to do. I think I tried it at one point and it didn't work.
Yeah.
So that's something I need to try out.
So basically, you can define these different paths to sort of take you right to where you need to, and then you like don't have to like try to find out like do I do double dot or single dot or I don't know like the whole hell with finding the right import.
Yeah, with having to go back. Yeah, because mine it's like 6 paths back or something stupid like that.
Yeah.
Because I'm importing types from the front end, and it's stupid.
This is like not the best way you can do that, but it works, and I'm probably going to change that to create something even more comfortable. But I have index.css, and when I now save my test, it should rerun, and now you can see that styled. So it's actually at the bottom. It has all of the style, And bam,
Nice.
I have my component rendered out. So
That's
what I
awesome.
can do now is, as I have this component rendered, I can write a test. So I have this get data cy. I think that's like a footer or something. Look, I have autocomplete for all of my data cy things, but I'm not not sure if I added one for the footer. So it doesn't help me that much at this point. But
Hmm.
yeah, I have this.
So that mount, is that something that um is that synchronous? Is that something that runs before the size stuff gets all queued up? I mean, it will, yeah. Because like
I'm pretty sure, yeah, that it will.
that's not like a promise that you can chain a then on, right? That mount.
I think you. I
Like
mean,
is
you can. Like,
do you know what I mean?
I'm pretty sure that Cypress will wait for this component to be rendered and only then continue with the next command. So,
I think the reason why your get data sci isn't available is because we're now using different
no, it's not that. It's
right.
it's not the function in here. Yeah, that's connected to the whole support and the fact that we added to the
Yeah, you
E
need
to
to have
E.
you need to have that in component.
Yeah, get data cy, get data cy. I'm just going to copy that and paste it over here. So, this is interesting. So Cypress actually did this to me as well. So I have the import mount. I actually have that available as a Cypress command globally. So instead of typing mount footer, I can just go cy
Oh,
mount.
side dot mount. Yeah,
Yeah, and let's import
interesting.
those commands here. Save it all. And what happened? I got an error.
Fail to
Command scale
resolve.
today. Oh, I guess I made the import. I didn't do the import properly. Command get data cy. Who? All right, this should be working. Not sure why it doesn't. Uh,
Hmm.
could it be? Commands get data cy. I'm pretty sure this should be working. Like it's having problems with the path I'm using inside the component TS. It doesn't have the problem with that path in my E2E file. So I'm just going to
Well,
restart that.
we're importing commands too.
No, I'm pretty sure this is just like yeah. I think if I restart it, it's going to work. Or maybe not, and we can debug together. So let's do component testing. Let's run that. I run that single file. And we'll see how that goes. Footer, let's run that and we'll see. And bam, it failed. Okay. Okay, we were just talking about how easy it is to use this, and of course, it's not it's not working as it should. Will this fix that? Yes, it did. All right. So for some
There it
reason, the
is.
add thing didn't work, and
It's possible that maybe the something happened with the TS server too. That can sometimes happen
it
where you
could
need
be,
to like
yeah,
restart, the TypeScript server. Sometimes that's what's necessary, but
could
that's
be,
okay.
yeah. Okay.
All
At
right.
least we got it figured out. So we got our component. We see it's working, it's visible. We made a test
Cool.
on a component in isolation. So that's basically what you can do with this. The nice thing about this is you get to see it in real browser and to debug it in real browser. So we'd probably, I mean, I last couple of days I've been trying to play with that, and I gotta say the setup is not always easy, and it's not easy for me because I sort of built the application to just to make it work and somehow stand on its feet. But it's a spaghetti code. It's all messy, and I think the component testing really revealed some of the anti-patterns I had this in this application. So I did a lot of refactoring on this. In fact,
Cool.
we can take a look into how the different components can be tested. If we, well, I'm not going to commit this, but I have a different branch where I do have a lot of component tests, so we can like take a look
We might,
if you like.
I'm thinking, because we're kind of running out of time,
Yeah.
but I think I would like to unpack that that particular problem that you brought up, where you had to do a lot of refactoring in order to make it testable with component testing. That's
Mm-hmm.
basically what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
So, what happens in the real world though, where you start implementing component testing with an app that's already in production and you say, well, yeah, in order for us to do component testing, we're going to need to do some major refactoring first. So, what do you do in the meantime? Now, in my experience, what I'm doing, like in my day job, what we're doing is we're actually doing end to end tests to kind of cover some of those things that should be component tests. Um, and that's sort of like tech debt that we're sort of expecting. But I think it'd be cool to kind of open that up as a discussion and see what folks are doing and or not doing in regards to that, because I think I think a lot of us that are in end to end, this might be the first foray into component testing.
Mm-hmm.
Like might be that some of us are just you know haven't used Jest or React testing library. Have just done end to end and maybe some unit testing, and so I think those kinds of things we could unpack in
Yeah.
another thing.
Yeah, we
What
definitely
do you think
can.
we should wrap up with?
Uh,
How should we wrap this up here?
that's a good one. Honestly, I don't know. I mean, we can sort of wrap up where we started, and say, I mean, kudos to the whole Cypress team for pulling this together. I know, like the component testing, it might. Uh, all right, so I talked to some people in Cyprus about this, and I raised some of the concerns about like missing features, and of course like different tools coming up, right? So like Playwright, etc. And
Hmm.
that's kind of
In the
creating
context of component testing or
in the
just Cypress
context
in general?
in the context of Cyprus in general. So will will Cyprus be here in 5 years? Basically, discussion, right?
Yeah.
Uh, and I really got reassured that the future for Cyprus is really bright by these people who are close to that. Um and what assured me here is was actually the strategy with component testing. So there are a lot of there are a lot of different demographics that use Cypress, or at least like two major demographics, and that would be developers and QA engineers. And
Hmm.
I'm really I think I'm really present in like more the QA engineers world and a little bit in the developers world, but it has been apparent to me from like early days that Cypress sort of had this developer mindset when they created this tool. And and that's, I mean, that I think shows shows how why component testing is actually a thing in Cypress, and it also shows like the reasoning behind missing features. So, for example, like not being able to open a new tab, or third-party login, or different browsers, etc. This is something
Mm-hmm.
that testers or QA engineers who try to create test automation, sort of emulating a real user interacting with the app, are really concerned with.
Mm-hmm.
Developers, as
Yeah.
people who create these apps to behave certain way, kind of go from approach the whole thing from the other side. They know how things are wired together. They know what makes sense to spend time on, and what doesn't really make sense. So, example of that might be opening the new window, right? So it doesn't, from a QA perspective, it's like super important. For developer perspective, who know how that know how the application is built and what actually happens when you open that new tab, is like, no, it doesn't matter. And component
Yeah.
testing is a big pain point currently in testing. It seems to me, the testing, the unit testing, component testing, testing in using Jest, etc., is really hard. And Cypress already got this great tool that will run your tests inside the browser, and they translated that to testing components, which is a big pain area for developers. So now that they brought it in, I think they're going to get even larger portion of the user base. Maybe not so much for testers, but definitely with developers. So I think
Yeah.
Cypress, with this release, is definitely starting a real growth from now on. We'll see. That's my prediction, based on
Yeah.
talking to people that are close to that. So take that with a grain of salt. But I'm really hopeful,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think those are great points, and I think they're also another source of conversations that we could dive into, because yeah, like one of the things you mentioned is how there's like this dichotomy of testing as a real user would, and sort of um, hacking the app so that it's not so much. And I have this conversation a lot with with different parties, and it's a trade-off, and it's something that needs to be examined. It needs to be measured, and I think one of the roles in QA is risk assessment. Okay, so what we want to get as real as we want to get, especially with end to end, you need to be as true to life as possible. However, at what cost? You
Yeah,
know, is it worth being exactly like a user would to add additional like time to the run, or potential for flake, things like that. I think those are areas where you need to kind of examine. And, if you're on an agile team, you could start with one, test it out, try it, and then you could always switch. In other words, maybe not be so true to life, see how it goes, and then, adapt as you would, as you need to. Um, yeah, and I think that Cypress I agree that Cypress is definitely a more of a developer tool, but as a QA engineer, when I first started with Cypress long ago, um, when they became an open source product, this was probably like version 3 or something like that. Um, it was helping me because I knew that if I was alone on the team and I needed to, because I was the only QA, I was basically running QA, and there's no way by myself I'm going to run an end-to-end project. Everybody knows how end-to-end is. It's even with Cypress, it tends to be flaky, and so you want the support of developers. You want a tool that's going to be something that you can use alongside development early on, right? That shift left, it definitely supports that shift left mentality. So yeah, I'm very grateful for Cypress because it helps to kind of balance that load so that it's not just like, okay, we're done with development. Now we need to write some end-to-end tests,
Yeah.
and
Throw it over
and
the
if they
fence,
break,
right?
it's you have to fix it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that whole throw it over the fence thing. So yeah, cool.
All right. I guess on that note, we can end this stream. I had a lot of fun today. Hope you guys did
Me
too
too.
on the chat. Again, if you want to grab a free T-shirt, there's a link in the like at the lower part of this video. Not sure if I put it in the description. I probably forgot. Sorry about that. But yeah, get some free swag from Cypress, and thank you for being with us, trying to explore version 10 today. And we will be exploring this a lot in the future. So so yeah,
Definitely.
watch out for more. And our next stream, our next podcast is going to be on 29th, I believe. Let me check my calendar. But we discussed that yesterday, right?
So
29th. Yeah, 29th of June. So
yep,
we're in 4 weeks. We're trying to keep that 4 week
that's right.
cadency. We'll see if we can spin that
Yep,
up to to a more frequent. But so far, 4 weeks is good enough for us. So yeah, in 4 weeks we'll see
yep.
you. Check out. Oh, I almost forgot. Like we got the Q&A, of course. But if you have any questions regarding Cypress version 10, regarding anything, there is actually a very good Discord community which I'm linking in the chat right now. This is official Cypress Discord where you can talk about version 10, component testing, end-to-end testing, basically anything you need. There's a whole community, hundreds of people talking about Cypress, so make sure to check out that. Also, there's another link I would like to give some attention to, another Discord server, which where you can find me. You can find me on the first one as well. But philiphric.com/discord will take you to the Learn Cypress Discord. There's also a big community of people trying to learn Cypress. So if you have questions, if you have needs, that's where you can go. And yeah, so these two Discord channels are where you should go. Especially the Cypress one. There's the community is much bigger, so there's a lot of things happening there. And is that all? I think that's all.
Cypress also has a YouTube channel, and I just noticed that they have a few new videos. One being on component testing, which could be helpful.
Yes.
So check that out for sure.
Yes. Plus, they have also like migration assistant. I see that they released like 4
Yep.
videos today, right? So yeah, make sure to check that
Yeah.
out.
Yep.
And yeah, see you all in 4 weeks.